A lot of people are turning to renting right now. That is what we're seeing in this market. So I'm going to give you guys my 10 tips in renting a home and or an apartment here in 2023. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's go. Sasha Chatman here, guys. Thanks for coming back to the YouTube channel. I'm the team leader of Chatman Realty Group. We help people buy and sell and lease homes all over the state of Texas, as well as Atlanta, Georgia. So let's get into the video. Tip number one, you need to get a good realtor or an apartment locator to help you find a leased out home or an apartment. Now, keep in mind, an apartment locator is just a real estate agent, guys, just a realtor who specializes in the renting game, which is very important to have someone who's been doing this before because they'll be able to explain the application process, keep you away from scams, and make sure that you're actually going to be able to qualify for the homes that you're going into. Because if you don't qualify, it can get very expensive. Okay. So a good real estate agent is going to make sure that you get all the information that we're going to talk about in this particular video to them up front so they can actually get you pushed through the process faster. So you really want to make sure you have a good real estate agent or apartment locator working on your behalf. Make sure that they've actually done this before. Ask them, how many places people have you put into an apartment? How many leases have you done? Do you know what the best specialists are when it comes down to looking for an apartment? They should be knowledgeable and have that information. And they should definitely have a website for you to be able to look at different types of rentals when it comes to apartments out there. They don't sit in the MLS. So make sure that that particular realtor has that information. For example, if you want to go search on our page here for Chapman Realty Group, if you go into the description of this particular video, you'll be able to see that link out right there for you to start looking here in DFW. So, number one, get you a good apartment locator. All right. Number two, your background. You're going to have to disclose your background. So, there's a couple things that can stop you from renting. Let's talk about what those are. Number one, if you have a criminal background, okay, every landlord can make up their rules in terms of what they want to do when it comes down to renting for different backgrounds. Usually, they're looking for someone who has a felony or some type of violent crime in the past. So, the sooner you disclose that to your apartment locator or realtor, they can start having that conversation on your behalf. Disclosure is always going to be key because they're going to run it in a background check and it's going to pop up. Okay. So if they don't know that and it pops up, they will sometimes just pass by your application. And keep in mind that is going to be landlord specific. Every landlord is not the same. So disclosing is in your best interest. All right. In addition with that, if you have an eviction, you need to let them know that as well. These are things that can automatically disqualify you from being able to get an apartment or a home. Some people will take an eviction, but they may ask you to do a double deposit on that. So be ready for that. Okay. Same things with foreclosures and bankruptcies. So at the end of the day, if you have a criminal background, if you have an eviction, if you have a foreclosure, or if you file for bankruptcy, guys, you need to go ahead and let your realtor and apartment locator know that so they can start talking to landlords on your behalf. You'll be surprised how many people say, I don't care about that. They've paid their bills well here over the last yada yada years, and I'm willing to take them on and put them into this apartment. So, but if you don't disclose it, it makes it that much harder to get it done. Tip number three, gather your financial information. This information is needed in order to make sure they understand how much money you make. Typically, the landlord wants you to make at least three times the monthly rent. That's just the industry standard. Every landlord can be different. So, what do you need to get? Number one, check stubs. They're going to ask for a couple check stubs, maybe two or three. Two, W-2 statements. So get that stuff together as well. If you're a 1099, be prepared to go ahead and bring your bank statements to show how much money you are making. And they may even ask for tax returns from that perspective. Last but not least in this thing here, you need to bring your government issued ID. Driver's license is the typical that most people have, but I have seen people take passports. For those who don't have a driver's license, they will take a passport or some type of government issued ID. So they can run a background check to make sure you are who you are and they can understand how much money that you are making. All right. Tip number four, determine your monthly budget. How much do you want to spend on a rental? Now, it's important because whatever that monthly number is going to be, we're going to multiply that times three to make sure you're making that type of income. That's how this whole thing works. Okay. So make sure we understand how much money that you're trying to spend here, because when we create your search, it's going to be based off your monthly budget. And if we're not seeing what you like within that search, that means one thing: we all need to expand the area, and or we need to expand the dollar amount that you're looking for, because we're going to send you everything out there. Your good real estate agent or apartment locator is going to send you everything out there that is under that monthly budget based off the location that you're choosing, right? And if it's not there, that means we got to expand the budget and look at it from that perspective. So make sure you understand where you're comfortable with financially, if it makes sense. Which brings us to step number 5: determine your location. We need to understand what location you need to be in. Do your kids need to be tied to certain schools? They need to be in a certain school district, things like that. How far away do you need to be from your job? Make sure you check out the commute. If you only want a 30-minute drive from your job, that's something that we definitely need to know. The more you let your apartment locator or your realtor know that, the better that it is that they can actually serve you. So make sure they understand that. Because when it comes down to it, your budget and your location is going to really determine where you want to live and what's available to you. So, those are some big tips right there. Tip number 6: know your credit score. This is a big one. Your credit score is going to determine if you can actually get approved or not with the application. So, you need to really understand what your credit score is, and you cannot just go to any old credit website online to get your credit score. Ask your real estate agent to help you figure out how to pull your credit score appropriately so we can understand what you're working with. So, for example, if you're saying that you're rocking a 500 and it's really a 400, that's a whole different story. Typically, when it comes to renting, they want you to have a 620 credit score and up. And here's the crazy thing about that, guys. That particular credit score is what you need to get down payment assistance when you're looking to buy a home. Yeah, it ain't that much difference. So pretty much the same criteria that you need to rent is almost the same criteria that you need to be able to buy a home. Heck, you can buy a home in the 550 if you want to. You might not like the interest rates, but you can do it. Now, your credit score is going to be super important, because your credit score is going to determine if they're going to approve you or not. So let's say the credit threshold they want is a 700 and you're rocking a 650, and you really want that particular apartment or you want that house to rent. Guess what? You might have to put down a double deposit. That comes up quite a bit. So please understand that. And your real estate agent, apartment locator should be telling you that and letting you know, hey, we could probably get this one here, but they may be asking for more. Now, one thing we're seeing in the market right now is some of these places are staying out there a lot longer than they typically have. So they start to bend a little bit when it comes down to the credit requirements. You just need to have that conversation with your realtor. All right. Tip number 7: you're going to have to get renter's insurance. So if you've never had renter's insurance, you're going to need to get that. And it makes sense to go ahead and get it anyway so you can protect your valuables. But that is something the landlord is going to require. Same thing with an apartment. They're going to require that regardless how you look at it. House, apartment, you need to have renter's insurance. And right now, insurance is going up. So look to bundle, guys. Definitely look to bundle so you can keep that cost low, because you're going to need that. But make sure you put that within your budget. Rental insurance is usually paid on a monthly basis, but you can pay for the entire year. Right. I've always paid myself over for an entire year. So just know that you're going to actually need to get renter's insurance in order to lease an apartment and or a home. All right. Number 8. This was near and dear to my heart: pets. You need to understand they're going to ask for a picture of your pet, most likely. What type of pet do you have? You're going to disclose that on the application. Now, let's talk about the controversy real quick. I have a pit bull. I love my Stella Rose. That's my baby. But people won't take her. Some people just look at dogs. Certain dogs are called aggressive. They will say Rottweilers, pit bulls, Dobermans, yada yada. These are aggressive breed dogs, and we all know Chihuahuas are the seed of the devil. Literally, those little ankle biters are just evil. But at the end of the day, some people will not take those dogs, and some people won't take dogs over a certain weight. These are the questions that your apartment locator and realtor is going to be asking you. Hey, how big is the dog? How much does the dog weigh? All right. So let's make sure we get that information. We understand that. We ask people to go ahead and get a picture of the dog up front, because some landlords will ask for a picture of the dogs, because people say, "Oh, I have I have a Chihuahua and it's a Rottweiler, right?" Now, if you do have an emotional support animal, please get your information ready, because your realtor is going to need that. get that information ready so they can go ahead and present that to the landlord as well. So, yep, they have a dog, but it's an emotional support animal, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there are some places that just don't take dogs. And so in some places don't take cats or whatever. So that's going to be disclosed. Now, if it's emotional support animal, that's a different situation here. So we're not talking about that in particular, but just know the type of dog you have and the type of pet that you own can determine if you're going to get approved or not. And that is going to be a landlord specific thing. All right. Number 9. Let's talk about the deposit. So typically, the deposit is going to be 1 month's rent. Okay, for a rental, it's typically 1 month's rent that you have to pay, and you got to pay that upfront. So let's talk about it. If you're getting a 2,000 a month rental, you need to be ready with this type of money. You need to be able to pay your deposit of $2,000 plus your first month rent of $2,000. And if you have a fur baby, that could go up to another $500 on a deposit for them and increase your rent as well. But you need to be ready to have all that money to secure that place. All right. So it's September 17th. I'm making this particular video. So for October 1st, all right, you get approved for the rental right away. Within 2 or 3 days, they want the deposit. They want the money. So that's a question that your apartment locator is going to be asking you. Your realtor is going to ask you, do you have the money right now to pay the deposit? So be upfront with them if you actually have that money or you have a plan to get that money. Because once we show you the property and then take you out there and you approve, now it's go time. They are not going to keep holding that property for you in order for you to try to get the money together. They're going to expect that money if they approve that application within 2 days, right? So make sure you have the money for the deposits ready to go. All deposits, right? If you have pets and it's $500 per pet, that means if you got 2 dogs, that's $1,000 plus deposit for the home. Okay, and if you're moving in right away, hey, it's 1,000 for the pets, 2,000 for the home, and then another $2,000 2 or 3 days later if you're moving in right away. So you need to make sure you have your money ready. And I know what you're probably thinking. If I'm going to put out $5,000, $6,000 to get in a rental, why am I not just buying a home? I don't know. You need to answer that question because you are putting down pretty much a down payment for a house at that point. I mean, I see people do it all the time. I helped a client the other day get a rental and they put down $10,000. I'm sitting here thinking, that's a dang nice house. They just put down $10,000. That's a really nice house. Cause you ain't putting out that type of money just for any type of home. But yeah, I understand renting is not for buying is not for everybody right now. So it is what it is. Number 10 tip, read the lease. Make sure you understand what you're signing. Your apartment locator and realtor should be explaining that to you. Now, when it comes to the apartments, you might get that directly just from the apartments themselves, but make sure you read it because if you read it and you sign it, if you don't read it and you sign it, you're still obligated. Okay? Make sure you understand what's in there. Make sure you understand what you're responsible for paying. Are you paying HOA dues? Okay. What utilities are you paying? Okay. Can you sublease? Most people say no, you can't. But make sure you understand that. What's expected of you in terms of maintaining the yard and things of that nature. Because those things are written into a lease, especially with individuals that really care about their properties. They want you to water the lawn. I know that for a fact because the houses I've rented out to people, I want them to water the grass. I didn't spend all the time making that grass pretty. And then for them to just kill it, right? And if they leave the next year, it's gonna make it more difficult for me because now I got a barren wasteland in the backyard versus having some grass for the next renter. So make sure you read through the lease and you understand what it is that you're signing and what you're responsible for doing. Because if you don't understand that and then you guys have an issue, that can be a problem. And the biggest issue comes around repairs. So let's talk about that real quick. The landlord is responsible typically for repairs unless it's written in the lease that they are not. But you also have to understand there's trip charges that come with that. So I've had renters who are calling for every little thing. And it's like, flip the, flip the fuse box, man. What are you doing? Just you blew a fuse, flip it. Right? You're like, what? Why am I coming over here? So I'm not gonna keep coming over here for things or just normal maintenance on a house that you need to take care of. That's really easy that you as an adult can just do real quick. Changing out your filters, right? You gotta change out the filters, right? Ugh, that's just nasty if you don't. Real nasty. But my point is, make sure you understand what you're responsible for. Make sure you understand what the landlord's responsible for, what the trip charge is, okay? And the things you can and cannot do with that particular home. Can you paint it? Are you allowed to paint that house? Are you allowed to do certain things in there? And you got to keep in mind, it is not your house, so you're not allowed to just do whatever it is that you want. It is your landlord's home, and that's one thing about renting that I don't like sometimes is you're not allowed to do what you want to do. But we understand why people need to rent, and understand with the prices being so high with houses right now in terms of the payments, it is making a lot of sense. So thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. I hope these tips are very helpful for you. If you need help in finding a rental home and or apartment, please feel free to reach on out to us here. We can help you in anywhere in the state of Texas. I'm Sascha Chatman. I'm the team leader of Chatman Realty Group. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys. Have a blessed day. Peace.